Okay, at this time, I will call the May meeting of the East Hempfield Township Zoning Hearing Board to order. Members of the board who are present this evening: Hanson, Luce, Mr. Bingham. We also have with us this evening our zoning officer, Beth Graham, and our legal counsel, Jason Hess. We also have with us a court reporter taking the minutes. Is Judy? I forget. On taking on. Okay. So it's being recorded, so we'll have board minutes. Okay. We have two cases this evening, and then they continue whole business for us. This board will hear both cases in an informal manner without strict compliance with the rules of procedure used in a court trial. We will ask each applicant and any individuals interested in either case to step in front of our table and explain the circumstances in their application. Before I go on, just so everybody knows, we're also on Zoom. I see Cindy is on. We are in this room tonight, which is a little cramped because we have the county setting up the meeting room for tomorrow's election. So we had to make other arrangements. Everyone will have a chance to participate tonight, should they desire. Excuse me. Applicants may present their cases themselves if their attorneys or other representatives. Fellow board members, as well as myself and our solicitor, may ask the applicant questions from time to time during the applicant's presentation or at its conclusion. All persons having an interest in the application will be given the opportunity to ask questions of the applicant, to offer evidence of their own, inform the board of their position in the matter. In the interest of prompt and orderly disposition of the two cases, we ask interested people to refrain from speaking until the applicant presentation has been completed and the board has had the opportunity to question the applicant. At the beginning of each case, people who are interested in the case should decide whether they desire to be parties to it. By being given the status of a party, that person will be entitled to receive notice of the decision in that case and will be entitled to participate in any subsequent appeals or rehearing. Individuals who are not given party status may nevertheless ask questions and present evidence, but will not receive notice of the decision and will not automatically be entitled to participate in any appeal or subsequent rehearing. If you desire to be a party, we will ask you to sign an entry of appearance form at the appropriate time. And although each party will receive a written copy of the decision, the mechanics of typing and signing the decision will take approximately 4 weeks. We ask that each person who asks a question or makes a statement first state his or her name and address for the court reporter. Now, lastly, in the interest of time, I will administer the oath or affirmation to all applicants and to everyone and anyone who anticipates making a statement with respect to either of the hearings this evening. So at this time, will you all rise, please? Under penalties of perjury, you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give, truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. If so, please say, I do.
I do.
Thank you. Stay standing. We're in a smaller room, so we have a smaller flag tonight. We'll have pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Gentlemen, you have received the minutes from our last meeting, was in January of this year. If there are no deletions, corrections, changes, I'd ask for a motion to approve the draft minutes you have in front of you as submitted by the secretary.
Chairman, I make a note, I just noticed my last name's spelled just only here, I didn't notice that before, but
Oh,
K-I-L-E, but that's usually. Other than that, they look fine.
Mr. Chairman, I also have one.
okay.
Paragraph 2 on the third page of the minutes. My last name is correctly, however, it's spelled correctly everywhere else.
Well, gentlemen, maybe you just don't know how to spell your name.
Could be. Won't be the first time I've been told this.
Been since January now,
Okay.
come on, you sure it hasn't changed?
Okay, so, any other potential changes? Okay, seeing none, can I have a motion
So
to
moved.
approve the January 20th, 25 board minutes with the proposed corrections for the last names of Mr. Kyle and Mr. Hanson? So moved by Mr. Luce, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Kyle. Any discussion, gentlemen? Seeing none. Okay. Before us are approval of the minutes as amended. Mr. Hanson.
In favor.
Mr. Luce.
In favor?
Mr. Kyle.
In favor.
Mr. Bingham.
In favor.
And I'll also vote in favor. We will get an updated copy of the corrected minutes on the road. Okay, Beth, is there any old business?
No.
Okay, then let's go to new business, please.
Case number 2489, Donald and Jacqueline Herman, 10 Road, seeking a variance to the accessory structure.
Okay. Mr. or Mrs. Herman here?
I am.
Oh, Mr. Herman's here, okay. Now, is there anyone else in the room that wants to be a party to this case? Seeing none? Okay, Mr. Herman, you don't have to step in front of our table since you're sitting almost at the table. And just present your case for the board, please.
Good evening, Riley Noetzel with Farley Snyder, attorney for the
Oh,
applicant.
okay.
No problem. And we also have Dan Winkler here with Lincoln Solar, so he'll be able to speak to, questions regarding the solar, panels. So I have a couple of handouts that I'll just pass around if that's okay with you.
Sure.
Riley, what did you say last name?
Noetzel, Noetzel. You all have copies of our application submitted? Okay. So I will share those. The first, these are supplementary, so this first packet is 5 photos of the location where the panels will be located, as well as an aerial satellite imagery showing the location of the accessory system. Have that marked as applicant. And then applicant's exhibit B will be several sheets of the plan that was submitted with our application, but just a larger size.
Did you say that was A and B?
Thank you.
share? Sure. Yeah. There's not, nope.
Sorry, I'm just.
More
If you want to share.
Yeah, we can share.
please. Second.
So we'll be referencing, the application as well as the handouts I just provided, but just to give you a little bit of background, this property is about 53.3 acres. It's in the agricultural holding zone. This is where Mr. Herman and his wife Jacqueline have their primary residence. This property is a really unique shape. It has dual frontage, so it's actually a corner lot. There's a driveway that extends onto Spring Valley Road. Main driveway is off of Sylvan Road, but there, because of the two driveway configuration, a flag lot and a corner lot, so naturally it does have two front yards. This configuration and the fact that there are two front yards is the reason why we're having to ask for relief. The relief we're asking for is a variance from section 270-5.2 F1A4A, which basically prohibits accessory solar systems in the front yard. Really, the only feasible location that we can site this is within the area proposed. The property is having two front yards. Really, the only portion that would be outside of the front yard is basically the northeastern corner of the property. That location doesn't work because of the numerous trees on the property. There's also a stream that transects the property, so it would be challenging, if not impossible, to actually run an interconnecting line to any of the metering on the other side of the stream, which is where all the structures are. This location that we're proposing, and Dan can speak to this a little bit more, has access to sunlight. It's in a convenient and more efficient location for connection to metering equipment. And it is also in more proximity to the buildings. The system is accessory. It would only serve the dwelling and outbuildings. There's a fairly large home on the property. There's an outdoor living space, swimming pool, several accessory garage/barn structures. So the system is sized appropriately to serve this property. It wouldn't be anything other than an accessory solar system. And just to speak a little bit as to why it needs to be ground mounted, the number of structures and the fact that the architectural features of those structures make it very difficult to mount it on the roofs. The home, I believe, has slate, if I'm not mistaken, or cedar, and then the outbuildings have shingles. So due to fire hazards, you can't really put these types of systems on cedar roofing. And if you were to try to mount it on the slate roof, it would basically crack and deteriorate. So really, because of the architectural features of the existing improvements, it really has to be ground mounted. And again, Dan can speak to that if you have questions about it. But the plans that we submitted show the size of the system. They show its location. We also included some photographs here that depict where it would go. There's already existing screening. Even though this is considered a front yard by definition, it really doesn't look like a front yard. It would be, located back from the road. You wouldn't really see it from the road. Due to the topography, it would kind of blend in. Mr. Herman, I don't think would even be able to see it from his own residence just because of the screening and the location of it. It's kind of in a pocket of the property that's not really visible. I think those were the main points we wanted to highlight. We think it's, a classic situation for a variance just because the property configuration and the fact that it is so oddly shaped with front yards really renders the hardship. Obviously, just to speak again on the reason it has to be ground mounted, which the ordinance does allow, if roof mounting isn't feasible, it has to be ground mounted because of the existing architectural features. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Thanks. Gentlemen, any questions? Mr. Hanson?
So, in your applicant's, submission there, in your answers to questions for variance, you said this property is a corner lot and a flag lot. In no way matches anywhere close to the definition in the zoning ordinance for a corner. And it very, very, very stretches the definition for a flag lot. So, to me, that's ruling that out. In your number 3, it's such unnecessary hardship was not created by the appellate. I tell you, myself and the chairman don't go with that because Herman bought the property. He knew what the property looked like. So the hardship was created once he bought the property. The property itself is not a hardship.
I would disagree just because the reason we're having to ask for this is it has 2 front yards, so it is not a traditionally shaped lot. It does have access on 2 roadways. So if it's not a corner lot and you look at the configuration, if it's not a flag lot, I'm not sure what type of lot it is, but it does have a hardship in the sense that really can't put anything in basically the entire 2 sides of the property. And the stream adds to the fact.
I understand all that. I give you the fact that it is unique, you got a lot. I'm just saying it doesn't meet those definitions as far as zoning. So the other question I had gets into the wattage. On the first page of the system you handed out, it said the AC rating is 38.4 kilowatts. But if you go back farther on, there's a peak is 330. My house, 2,400 square feet, all electric, peak at most uses 1.5 to 2 kilowatts per hour. At most. I'm lucky if I use less, just a little over 1,000 kilowatts per month. Where's all the extra electricity going here?
I'll let him speak to that, Dan.
They would have sized the system.
Excuse me, yeah.
My name's Dan Winkler. Pennsylvania. Any of the excess of electricity? Winkler? McHenry.
Can you give them a little background of that?
Sure. I'm a project manager. I've been working for Lumen Solar for about 4 years, and I help with all our specialty product design, whether it's ground mount, anything that has any kind of hardships like this, or specialty projects for higher-end projects. Any of the excess that would have been calculated would have been designed based on what their electric bill was sent to us. I can't speak to what engineering those numbers for, but that's what they calculated. That makes sense.
Again, I'm no electrical engineer. But it seems like the solar panel array that you're asking for seems like way more than what is needed to run that house.
I know that we're aiming for net zero. Again, I don't have the specific numbers in front of me to tell you what they are, but would have been based off what the electric bill was, their annual consumption would be.
Really
I
cool.
can tell you what we did with the process. We had to submit 2 years of bills, and I'm told they sized it for that usage. The smaller the array, the better for me. So there's a problem with calculation. I'm interested in that, saves money.
Like I said, I'm no engineer. I can just tell you. The other question I have is, every solar company I've dealt with, my house faces directly east. They're telling me that a southeast facing is the best way to go. This solar array looks like it directly.
So to be specific on this, the exact azimuth that you want is going to be a true south, which is going to be 191 degrees for this region. And that was calculated via compass with true headings and also with a digital compass. And I did that personally myself. So that azimuth is based on being true south. I do my education in NASDAQ certification through Maryland. That azimuth should be.
Like I said, everybody's telling me that I have to go southeast or south, and I face directly east. That's why I don't think
Yeah, a flat 191 degree base is the best azimuth that you want for a solar panel.
Well, some of it's a function of what the shade situation is too, right? So in that location, I've got the best opportunity for sun.
Mr. Winkler,
Yes, sir.
this picture here that you submitted. Oh, I'm sorry, not Mr. Winkler. Mr. Hotel. Mr. Herman, you can answer this. What's this right here? Hard to see, but there looks like there's a fence right here.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's,
those are 4 apple trees that I fenced in. Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
I was looking at the same thing in there.
Okay, that makes sense. Those trees that are existing, they're not gonna interfere with those solar panels at any time?
No, they
Can they
have to do a study where they show you the sun move day. The beauty of that spot is that it's screened. You can't see it from Spring Valley, you can't see it from Sylvan, so that part of the golf is pretty good. It'll be hard for me to see one. Tucked in that corner.
We use LiDAR scans that are provided by the, or by NOAA, that basically calculate what those production rates will be in that particular location.
Mr. Herman, one of the conditions that we put on last case was that if any of the trees that were existing had been removed, you would have to replace them in order to keep that screen. Okay? Also agree to that, screen these solar panels.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Other
I have
questions?
a question. I know I'm going by the diagram that we had in our packet. The property that's in the corner, is that your property as well?
No, there's 2 properties.
Yeah.
There's a church, and then there's a single-family home there.
Okay.
So which one are you speaking to?
The one right in the corner itself.
But when they put corn in usually,
Yeah.
Well, the corner is a cornfield, right, and then off to the east of that is the church, and then further east is another cornfield. Keep in mind, though, if you look at this from a topography standpoint, Spring Valley's about 20 feet below the back of the church. There's a crest there. If you look at the top of that crest, you'll see a bunch of pine trees planted up there.
so there's a cornfield here,
Mm-hmm.
church,
Mm-hmm.
cornfield, house, then property.
Right. What's the view of the panels from the church?
You know,
Okay.
because they're down in topography, and if you look, since I did that other barn, put a row of pine trees in there. So that church is screened from us.
Okay.
And if you look at the house, which is the other one I'd be concerned about, there was a pool there, and there's a pool house behind the house, and there's heavy shrubs and big pine trees, so that's why I took the pictures that I took.
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna be able to see it from any advantage of it.
Beth, can you pull up that on Google Maps
That's
already?
what
Lost it.
I couldn't get it up on that. That's why I figured I'd use this.
So if I'm correct, Mr. Herman, sorry,
Leave you, I'm done, yeah.
the house on Sylvan, they have a pool in the backyard or a pool house?
They used to have a
Yeah,
pool, got rid of it, left that pool house back there.
they really can't see.
I will show you the pictures, but
I mean,
you can see.
you can barely see your house from Sylvan.
Yeah, right. The home is here.
Can you blow that up a little bit, Beth? There you go.
There you go. That's even better. So there's my little apple trees. The array's sitting back here. Here's the new pines we put in. Here's the church, 2 cornfields, their home. Pool was here. There's a pool house here, and you can see how heavily overgrown this is. Nice, but it's just, it's screened pretty nicely. This screens from Sylvan, and from here, you can't see the back of the church. You can't see but the tops of these pine trees. So nobody's really gonna see the array. And also say this, that's a slate roof, that's cedar, and that tobacco barn over here is also slate.
That's
I'm gonna
the
use
problem.
the pointer, that way,
I'm blocking all
maybe.
you.
There.
Show up on that.
Oh, it's not showing up on that.
Well,
Your finger did pretty good.
Yeah.
The bar top right there is slate, and then the bank barn by the pool is slate, and then the main house is cedar, and it's just not conducive to mounting. I would have preferred to left it on the house.
Okay. Other questions?
I have one. How many square feet of area does panels cover?
This is here, I'd have to do the math for 61 foot by 5.5, 19 foot and 4 inches.
Takeout plan.
The takeout plan's gonna have the dimensions, you could do this, one of these in phases, and here's gonna have it.
Yeah, I didn't see it readily, I just was trying to get a rough idea.
Sixty-one foot by 5, it's gonna have it.
Approximately 1,200, not quite close.
1,900, sorry, 1,193 by 1.
Okay.
Does he, I guess, over 1,000 square feet, does that require water runoff?
We would have to look at it, some instances. I don't think we got that far.
Isn't that, I'm just asking, is that a function of lot coverage though?
Yes.
Lot coverage is related but different.
I mean, you're not, even with, say, 1,200, just make a round number, lot coverage, you're still well
Yeah,
under.
ton of room.
Because you, what is 50-some acres, but for lack of a better term, I call it the rain tax.
You're afforded a certain amount of exemption. And depending on how the panels are installed, they might count as, pervious, they might not. So, yeah.
You know, I was gonna say, I've seen them built in a way where it doesn't.
I'm good.
Yeah. John, any? Jason?
Yeah, you. Mr. Herman, what are the other buildings other than your residence? What are they used for?
The long skinny one is a tobacco barn, there's a gym in there, and there's a storage area to the right for farm stuff, tractors and four-wheelers and things like that. Obviously, the main house, and the bank barn serves as, the upper level's kind of living space, the lower level storage, and the pole barn is, for storage as well. I've got some old antique cars I keep.
That's the one you just put up.
Yeah, the last one's at the lower right there.
The pole barn, last one you were referring to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Labeled car barn, right? Okay.
And, the application referred to the property side, I just want to make sure it's correct on this, it's 53.3, but I think, the GIS, does this come from the GIS? That's, yeah, it refers to it as 48.7 acres. Is that just because of the,
I've always said I had 53 acres back there. But yeah.
Might just be a discrepancy with the GIS, right?
I don't think I have any other questions, Chairman.
Beth, any questions?
No.
Anyone in our big audience have questions, or anyone on Zoom have questions of the applicant? Yeah, that's what I noticed. Well, she can ask questions. I'll let her do that. Okay, seeing none. So anything else you want to add at this time?
No, I don't think so.
Mr. Herman?
Thanks for your consideration.
Yeah, thank you.
You want Mr. Winkler, does he need to add anything more?
A couple. I think you pretty much nailed everything that I had to say. Well, that was going along.
Okay.
Yeah, he hit everything.
Okay. And no other questions? And seeing them. With that, gentlemen, we will conclude testimony in case number 2489. With that,
Mr. Chairman, there's also, I think, board should probably take administrative notice of the prior decision on this.
yeah, but I was just gonna ask, what was that case number?
There were cases numbers 2387, 746, and 2300.
2300?
What did 2300 deal with?
Yeah,
I could not find that one.
I think it only had 23.7.
That was the one we were aware of, was just unrelated to the car barn.
The only reason I knew of that one was because when I went and looked at the decision for case number 2387, it referred to, the board took administrative notices of cases 746 and 2300. There were two prior. I don't know what they were.
Well, here's the issue, if we don't know they dealt with, there may be restrictions in there,
I mean, if there were conditions that said,
conditions, yeah.
conditions that said something like this couldn't be done, I mean, I don't know. You have access to this.
I'm pretty sure that case 700 was way before Mr. Herman owned the property.
yes. I would too. Might have even been. Yeah, you still have that book with prior decisions? When, we sleep.
Aware of any?
The only paper ones we have were,
Okay.
want to take 5, I can go grab it.
2300, and what was the other one? Jay?
Well,
746.
746.
why don't we just take a 2-minute break, just go down and see if you can locate them. If you can, fine, if you can't. So we'll just take a 5-minute break, we'll go off the record.
We're pretty close, 2300, 23.
And you said that earlier.
Yeah.
It's 2300.
2300, we knew it too long ago.
Yeah, 7.
Right. That's what I thought, yeah.
So big.
They'll run together. 4 years ago.
I don't have, that's what I needed.
The best database here is showing that case 2300 was withdrawn.
Okay.
So there wouldn't have even been a decision on that.
You're right.
746, I don't
We could tell Nate to let him take down the basement.
The 20 digitized. So,
Yeah.
For those that are interested, Hempfield Township out in the front yard here today for it too. So they're moving on.
Good. Where did they play that?
Right out here.
Down here in the Township Park?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, it's a high school.
Oh, high school.
Oh, no, they didn't play here. Of course they
Played-
did.
played
at high
over
school.
at Hempfield.
Oh, okay.
They did.
That's,
Yeah,
Mhm.
I
sorry.
was gonna say,
Yeah, they wouldn't.
it's a nice park, but that field over at the school's a lot nicer.
Yeah.
You're good.
Okay.
Look at that.
Think how fast that was and everything. Who needs computers?
That's
Right.
right.
Whole 5 minutes.
I'm just surprised I remember the,
Sometimes it's easier to go and find
Yeah, well, yeah.
yeah.
Trying to figure out where it's put, yeah.
different, ways we track that stuff, so.
Oh, I know, they used to just have that loose leaf binder. Because of doing just what you just did.
Time to go read them a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
It had to be one of Bill's decisions.
That could have been even before, well, that could have been, team judge, starts with an F. Farina. Could have been one of his. Then Bill took over for him. I think Farina was the solicitor when I started. And he went down and became a judge.
I was trying to figure out where you guys tie your horse and
Yeah, this was just for, street, or crossing the floodplain to tie into the sewer line. There are no conditions other than standard conditions.
When was that?
Nineteen 90,
90.
it was definitely Bill.
Was it Bill's? Yeah. Okay, so with that, we will take administrative notice of case number 2387 and 746. We made part of the case file. We'll also, add into evidence applicant's exhibits A and B. With that, anything else, Jason? With that, gentlemen, case number 2489, I will listen to a motion if there is one at this time.
Chairman, in case number 2489, west of Donald and Jacqueline Herman at 1059 Sylvan Road, Lancaster, PA 17601. Make a motion to grant their variance section 270-5.2 F1A 4A. Grant them a variance to allow solar panels on the yard with the following conditions. For one, all screening has to meet the requirements for solar panels according to the township regulations. Number two, if any trees from screening are removed, they have to be replaced. Number three, at no time when the amount of solar panels exceed the required electrical demand for the site. And four are standard conditions.
Those three, that at no time the
Solar panels, the
solar
amount of
panel,
solar panels
Okay.
cannot exceed wattage required to run the site. We can't set up his own minimal electrical
Right.
station.
Right. Okay. Excuse me. Motion by Mr. Hanson, in case number 2489. Donald and Jacqueline Herman at 1059 Sylvan Road. To grant a variance, section 270.5.2 F1A 4A. To allow for placement of solar panels in the front yard with the following conditions. One, that the screening as stipulated in the township ordinance for solar panels be complied with, that any trees that need to be removed shall be replaced by new trees. Three, that the amount of solar panels needed shall be the minimum amount that would provide the needed electricity for the site. And four, that the standard conditions that this board applies to decisions. Is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Bingham. Discussion, gentlemen, before I have a comment to make on your conditions and your motion, in that you stated that the variance would be to allow for the placement of solar panels in the front yard. Can that be expanded to say as depicted on, excuse me, the application and the exhibits, so that they're not placed somewhere else that's there?
Absolutely.
I agree with that too. Okay, now, discussion, gentlemen.
So, I'm familiar with this property because I'm Jacob. It will say, Hermans always take good care of their property. Well, a couple things that didn't like on the application. Number one, it's stretching the flag lot requirement, and two, it doesn't even come close to being the unnecessary hardship that it wasn't created by the pellet. Hermans bought the property. They knew what property they were buying. So that holds no water with me. I know that holds no water with the German. Or, having said that, because conditions we put on this, because the Hermans do take very nice care of this property, I will be voting to approve this.
Okay. Anything else, gentlemen? Follow up with Mr. Hanson. I agree with what he says. One, I guess this is more directed to Mr. Notesville, because you're possibly going to be in front of us for another case, the concept that you know the applicant didn't create the problem. No, but when he purchased the land, he knew this was a strange lot, so Mr. Mark said that I agree that, you know, it's not really a hardship of the land when you know what you're getting into. But this property is rather large. We've heard that argument being used on a lot smaller properties. I didn't create the hardship. No, but you bought it. You knew, I shouldn't say you knew. You should have known that there were some issues with the property, and whether that property owner or their realtor should have did their due diligence to know what's there. Again, this property is unique in a lot of ways. One, I don't think it's a flag lot, and I don't think it's a corner lot, but I'm not sure what kind of lot it is.
What is it?
That I don't know, and that's one of the reasons why I agree with Mr. Hanson, is that that there are those crazy lots out there that nobody ever thought of except the developer who was laying it out. But that person's not around to answer that question.
I appreciate your commentary, but may I ask a question? If it's not, it's self-created because the applicant bought it, then when would it, in your mind, a variance be appropriate? Because it's, I mean, he didn't subdivide, I guess my point was he didn't subdivide and create it.
With this, when I had a little summation for you was, in case somebody else comes to you, variances don't set precedent by law, but most people don't realize that, and they'll say, well, the board gave this variance for this property. Well, there's a lot of uniqueness to this property. The uniqueness of size, not your typical subdivision lot. Right. Uniqueness, the way it's laid out. So, you know, nothing against Mr. Herman, but hopefully we don't have to see him again for this lot. But there are, but being an attorney, you get other clients, and that's why I wanted to mention it.
Can I just expand on that? Chairman?
Sure.
If it's, so I think, I mean, if it's whoever subdivided it created a very odd lot, I think it sort of puts the, you sort of stand in the shoes of whoever subdivided it, make it as, I mean, I guess, if you go back, if you have a property that was never really subdivided, every property at some point created and with the lot lines that it has. I think the law does say if you have somebody who subdivided the property who turned it into very unique configuration, you sort of stand in the shoe.
Yeah, and I don't know all the history, obviously, behind how it got the way it is.
I mean, I agree with Mr. Hill. I don't know what you call this lot. It's very, and that's why I use the term is a unique.
Let me make a comment. They applied for it based on a corner lot. They're going off the guidance that Beth and I gave them. Our review ordinance. It kind of doesn't fit many things, but it was closest fit to a corner lot, so that's the guidance we gave them.
Again, I think, and that's fine, you know, it's here and there, but I just think that it doesn't meet the definition either one. A corner lot, definitely not. Flag lot, if you really stretch the definition, probably get it to fit flag lot, but it is a unique lot. Again, what the Hermans have done with property and keep it well-maintained, looking nice, why, you know, I did what I said.
No, we appreciate it.
And, you know, again, look at the size of this lot. If lot in my development would come in that look like this, I can't see any hardship because there's room here. It's like, almost, you could say that you're starting out with some virgin farmland. It's that big, 50-some acres is.
Well, and I'd tell you, we'd never do it if people were to see it. I wouldn't want that any more than you guys would. There's that little nook in there that's what makes it work for us.
Well, I think there's a fifth condition should be put on there, that you have to start mowing it by a push mower. The old.
We withdraw.
No, so, okay, any other comments or discussion, gentlemen? Seeing none. Mr. Hanson?
In favor.
Mr. Lewis?
In favor.
Kyle?
In favor.
Mr. Bingham?
In favor.
And I'll also vote in favor. Your request has been granted for the variance with the conditions as so stated, based on the written and oral testimony. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We do not need these, if you want, you need these for anything.
That's good for reference.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Now, before we do the second case, we're taking a couple minute break.
Did he buy this one 10 years ago? Right? 10 years? 10 years ago, he was back.
Yeah, a little more than 10.
Just out of curiosity, how long ago was it the solar panels actually?
No. Ever. But it's fairly new.
Newer than
5 or
10 years
6,
ago.
yeah.
So some of the questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Very good.
Have fun.
Oh, just fingerprints.
My mind.
Yep.
Down the road lately, you done a sprint? Oh, yeah, I have to. Keep up the cases, replacing furniture, worn out. Okay. More project. Yeah. That's part of it. Lots of stuff to do there before the. Get a big old minute every year. Repeat. Yeah, one of them, for repeat.
We have the same couple that comes down in Florida. Number day of March,
Oh, that's great. Makes it easy.
but I think they're done after this past year, so, which is fine. I wanna start heading down over the
Using the more.
winter myself.
What part of Florida?
Dennis? All side.
My rentals are weekly, so. Our balance. Walk.
Hmm?
What we call our first day week.
That's cool. Yeah.
And I'll celebrate together.
I have some friends that keep saying the same thing. Like, all right, we'll talk about it. The fact that we just can't go down over the holidays. My wife's a teacher, so that's the only time we have off.
Yeah, right.
The only time we can go down.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going at. We bought it for both people.
Yeah.
You can't get many days off during the school year, that's for darn
No,
sure.
Not easily.
He does his garage and then. Tony Company. Yeah, Tony Company. He's, did some nice improvements.
He's really on the inside too. I mean, you could eat off the floor, the garage, I go in there. Even the back, I was.
Right turn, Clyde, yeah.
Roof work and couple cars.
We did that. Clint Eastwood was in it, he had a monkey, right turn. The monkey was driving, there was orangutan, yeah.
No, but he's a,
When he was
he's a
doing
good
all this,
operator.
like he did a couple of
Yeah,
numbers.
Mm-hmm.
He really
Those
is.
movies,
Mhm.
TV truck kind of thing.
Mhm.
Monkey's been-
No, that wasn't it, but no.
Well, my office is right next door to him, I'm in the.
really?
There, so he also knows that I can look across.
Yeah, that's true, too.
No, because it's centered around the orangutan that they had in it, so it was. I have to look that up.
I do get that, yeah. I was gonna say, get over there for lunch sometime, but. Yeah, they do a pretty good. And that night is, those are my two haunts.
Okay.
Can afford either one, so.
I remember when that was.
A lot of people, that's not down there.
In high school. Small.
But yeah, that's kind of an open building.
Yep.
What was the third?
Every which way but loose.
Yeah. I have one that got a knee done.
I was gonna keep you up all night if I didn't look it up, so I have to look it up. I know.
That is.
Clint Eastwood, oh no, we were just worried about the sign that's out there, that says,
Oh,
turn Clyde.
Okay.
What movie was that song? I like saying.
Okay, we're going back on the record. Next case, Beth.
2490, John and Anita Peterson, 924 Landisville Road, seeking variances from lot requirements for farm.
Okay, is Mr. or Mrs. Peachy here? Okay. Is there anyone else in the audience that wants to be a party to this case? Anybody on Zoom yet? No? Cindy's there. Yep, okay. Mr. Peachy, then, we like, as I said with the last applicant, you don't have to come in front of the table since you're almost sitting at the table. You'd like to, present your case, please, first by, stating your name and address for the court report.
Reside at 924 Landisville Road.
Your case, please.
Good evening. My name is Sheila O'Rourke. I'm an attorney at Gibble Credit Fund Task. I'm here representing John and then this evening. We're also joined by David Keener, the engineer, worked on the site. I will also be providing testimony. So just by way of
1 second, sir. His last name again?
Keener,
Oh, Keener. Okay, thank you. Sorry to interrupt you.
sure. So just by way of brief introduction, the address is 924 Landisville Road. It is a non-conforming undersized farm in the district. It's at 7.4 acres. And it's been that size since at least 1938. Mr. Peachy and his wife have lived there since 1989. And the reason that we're before the board this evening is for a farm-based business in the agricultural district. So this is a use permitted by right. The use has to be supportive of and important to the cultural industry in the area. And what Mr. Peachy does is transport eggs. So he and his son both own tractor trailers, refrigerated trailers, and transport eggs from local farmers, either to processors or to distributors. And the application is to be able to park those trucks on his property. And so through the testimony this evening, you'll hear that all of the performance criteria for a farm-based business are met. Critical service to local farm markets. And the zoning relief that is required is related only to the existing size of the property and size. A minimum acre requirement.
I interject here.
Mr. Hanson?
So here, going through the submission for your application, I understand what you're trying to do here for a farm-based business. But to me, this is a commercial business. Eggs being taken off this property, going to other farmers, taking eggs or whatever, and taking them. So really, this is a commercial business being established on a farm.
I think a lot of that will be addressed through the testimony of both Mr. T and Mr. Senior, who are my two witnesses.
Okay.
But just to address that at least a little bit at this juncture, if you look at both the definition for and the performance criteria for a farm-based business, and we have included that just for ease of reference. I've handed out an exhibit packet that is pre-marked board number. And if you look at page 5 of applicant's exhibit 6, I just copied and pasted the definition for a farm-based business as well as the performance criteria. And the definition is broad: business activities or services that are located on a farm and are accessory to the principal farm use. And then the special exception criteria, or rather the performance criteria, give us more context for the types of businesses that are acceptable. And if you look at the types of businesses that are listed in paragraph 2, sales or repair of ag equipment, blacksmith shop, a butcher shop, a grain mill, the processing of locally produced ag products, a veterinary clinic for large animals, feed supply, fuel and fertilizer distributors, a biodigester, and yard waste composting. All of those businesses are commercial businesses that are located on a farm, but what they have in common is that they must be important to agricultural operations. That's in paragraph 1 of the requirements. So they must be integral to the farming industry, but they don't necessarily have to relate to anything that's being produced on the land. Certainly a butcher shop wouldn't, a blacksmith wouldn't, repair of ag equipment. I'm sorry.
So that list you just read off. You look at number 3 underneath that, it says a farm-based business shall occupy no more than 2 acres. But everything on that list, none of that is being done, as far as I know, on this farm, except for the sale of mulch and soil, which you've been doing for years. Again, I can't speak for the rest of the board, but to me, this is a commercial business. I have no issue with an owner, especially this size property, running a commercial business out of this location. I'm just not, and maybe you have something in your testimony that's going to change my mind here, but everything that you submitted, I don't see this anything but as a commercial business. It meets the definition of a commercial business according to our zoning. It doesn't even, there's nothing in a farm-based business that this even comes close to.
Perhaps proceeding with our witness testimony and that would add some context, and then certainly any additional questions you might have.
Fantastic.
Both have been sworn, Mr. Peachy and Mr. Keener. And Mr. Peachy, I'd like to call you as my first witness. So would you please state your name for the record? Do you and your wife own the property at 924 Landisville Road? And did you purchase the property in 19? You and your wife live there? Mr. Peachy, if you'd look with me, please, to the applicant's Exhibit 1, which is the first exhibit in the packet that I've handed you.
Mr. Orr, sorry for interrupting you. The packet you handed, they're all separately marked, 1 through 6. Are you submitting this as just one exhibit or 6 exhibits? Just for my administrative purposes.
Yes, I did staple them together for ease, but I would submit them as 6 different.
I appreciate that, thank you. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Okay, so looking at applicant's Exhibit 1, Mr. Peachy, is this an aerial image of your property? Does it contain 7.4 acres?
Yes.
And when you purchased the property in 1989, was it the same size, 7? And you haven't subdivided?
No.
And through your legal counsel, did you review the chain of title for the property? And the fact, has your property been the same size since at least 1938? Is the property within the agricultural zoning district? And does it have your existing home as well as an existing larger barn? There appears to be, in this aerial image, there's a shed that's out in the middle of the field. Has that shed simply been moved behind the mulch bin?
Yeah, we moved it directly behind it.
And you use the property as your residential dwelling? You also have an accessory farm stand?
Yeah.
What types of items do you sell at the stand?
Mushroom soil, straw and bedding, firewood and railroad.
Did you begin that business back in the early 1990s? It's been operating for 25 or 30 years?
Yes.
And you utilize the honor system or a self-service system?
Oh, yeah.
Please turn with me to what I've marked as applicant's Exhibit 2. This is a series of photos. Photo A, a photo of your home, as well as the red barn there in the background.
Yep.
And is photo B a photo of the existing barn? Is your residential driveway to the right of the barn?
Yep.
And is the farm driveway to the left? You'll turn with me, please. Photo C. Is a photo of the rear of the barn? Would you characterize it as a bank barn? And so it's built into or on top of the slope? Does photo D show the items that you sell from at the farm stand?
Yes.
Turn the page, please. Is photo E a photo of the area of your property that you keep in crops? And about how many acres do you have in crops? That leads to a local farmer.
Yes.
And is photo F a photo of the farm driveway taken from Landisville Road? And in the background, do we see one of your trucks and trailers?
Yes.
And is the truck parked to the right-hand side of the home? Great, please turn the page. Is photo G a photo of one of your trucks with the refrigerated trailer? And it's a 53-foot long trailer? And is it correct that you currently would park, both your truck and a truck that is owned by your son? Does photo H show the, parking area that you utilize for the trucks? And are your trucks able to, turn around on the property such that there's no backing onto Landisville Road? And do they turn around the mulch bins?
The circle driveway.
Photo H, very hard to see, but looking at the photo to the left of the truck, is that the mulch bin?
The building that you see in the background?
Yeah.
That's that shed that we moved from the cattle.
Basically, you have a circle that the trucks can go around, so there's no,
There's a whole way around the mulch bins and that shed.
On the final page, photo I, your property surrounded by other properties that are zoned and used for agriculture.
Yes.
Photo I, a photo of your neighbor to the left of the property. And is that property used for a poultry house? As well as residential dwelling? And does photo J show the farming operation across the street? And is that known as Spooky Duck Produce Greenhouse and Chicken Barbecue?
Favorite spot.
All right, so Mr. Peachy, by this application before the board this evening, are you proposing to park 2 tractor trailer trucks, refrigerated trailers on the property for purposes of transport? And who would own and operate the trucks?
I have one, my son owns.
And could you please just briefly describe, the hauling business, how that works?
Primarily go to farms and pick up eggs and take them to processing. Also pick up eggs for other companies, and go to distribution centers, Walmart or, for instance, or whatever, distribution centers.
And what are some of the local farmers that you work with?
They are, the farms that we pick up at are contracted to Junction Ag, which is a division of Sporting Valley Feed.
Is that a local Manheim company? Okay, so you work with Sporting Valley Feed.
Yeah, all eggs.
And so you would be picking up from local farms and bringing those eggs to a processor. And you would also be picking up eggs that have been processed. For example, this Westfield egg processes its own
They
egg.
process it.
And so,
And then we just take them to their distributors.
and do you provide this service because the chicken farmers would not have their own means of transporting their eggs to market?
Yes, that's right.
And so this is sort of a critical piece in the supply chain of eggs.
I would say so.
And so are you operating on a daily basis?
Pretty much, yes.
And would some of your trips involve staying overnight?
Yes, they do.
In terms of where you're proposing to park the trucks, we look back at photo H, with the truck beside the mulch bin. That's the location where you would park.
Yeah.
And we'll get into more detail about this, but as part of, or are you also proposing to build a new shed on your property?
Yeah.
And there would be the ability to park one of the trucks in the shed. In fact, is it correct that you currently park the trucks on the property?
Yes.
And how long have you been using the property to park the trucks? When you were in the process of purchasing purchasing the property or considering purchasing the property, did you have any conversation with the township?
Did call the township, don't have any names. I was told that it would be okay to park on the property.
Have you ever had any neighbor complaints or concerns about the trucks on the property? Do you store any supplies or materials outside related to the egg transport business? And would you have any signs related to the egg transport business? Based on the small size of your farm at 7.4 acres, would you be able to make a living solely on farming, which, and is that because it's too small for a self-sustaining agricultural operation? And accordingly, is a supplemental form of income needed to be able to sustain the farm? And does having another way to make an income allow you to keep the acreage and crops that you do? You mentioned that you're proposing a new shed, and Mr. Keener will talk more about this. But I would like to just give to applicants Exhibit 4. Applicant Exhibit 4 show the new shed that you're proposing.
Yes.
And would it be located basically right behind your home?
Yes.
And are you proposing 4,800 square feet of shed? How would you use that space?
Part of it would be to put truck and trailer, be able to park the whole truck and trailer lengthwise in the shed. And there would be 2 doors coming back of the shed, just for storage areas. Possibly to pull a truck without a trailer in.
So, there would be the ability to park one of the trucks and trailers there, and then the rest of the building would be for your personal or agricultural.
Yes.
Wouldn't be for any type of commercial. In terms of the height of the shed, would it be under the 45-foot maximum? In fact, would it likely be closer to 25? And considering that you have an existing barn, why is it that you're proposing the additional?
Barn's pretty useless for.
In fact, is the barn on 3 different levels?
Yes.
And is it separated into fairly small rooms and sections?
Yes.
And even when you're on the ground floor of the barn, are there different levels that involve stepping up a couple of steps or stepping down? And so does that limit your ability to use that barn?
Yes.
And you could not park trucks in the barn, correct? Have you spoken to any neighbors about your application?
I did.
Could please turn to applicant Exhibit 5. Did your adjoining neighbors, in fact, provide letters to you that they do not oppose your application for trucks on the property?
Yes.
And I'll just, I'll submit to the board that there are 5 letters here. The substance of the letter is all the same. So each one says, I'm aware of the application done and it's to keep 2 trucks with refrigerated trailers on their property at 924 Range Road, transport eggs from local farms. I have no opposition to the application. Mr. Peachy, if we could just go through individuals who submitted each letter. Starting with that first page, you received a letter from Carl Rohr. And where is his property located?
It is located to the west of my property. One with the poultry, the houses there.
So he's directly beside you
Yeah.
And we have seen his poultry barn in
Right.
photo I. Would you say that he's your closest neighbor?
Yeah, he is.
Let's turn to the second page. This is from Amos Holtz's. And where is Amos's property located?
Directly across the road from us, the farmer on the dairy farm. There.
Is that part of looking at produce and greenhouse?
I'm not sure how they're connected. He's the son of the,
Okay, and
Amos is the dairy farmer, and then that has,
if we turn to the next page,
that would be John's grocery.
there you also have a letter from John E. Stoltzfus. Not quite right, but,
Yeah, I'm not sure what,
this is the owner of Looking at Produce.
yeah.
Then if we turn the page again, I have a letter from Myron War and Rose Dan. And where do they live?
They joined my property on the,
Would they be
It's a
across
large-
the
a
crop
large-
field from you?
yeah, it's a large,
And finally, a letter from Dennis Rowland at 1085 Landisville.
yeah, he is across the road. Up to the east.
And he would have joined the Cookie
He
Produce
joined-
Farm.
That house was built on that. Father owned the farm there.
Would you say that your proposed business keeping food trucks on the property is in keeping with the character of the neighborhood? In fact, would other agricultural operations directly beside you also use tractor trailers? Would the poultry farm, Mr. Rohr's poultry farm utilize a tractor?
That's on there today.
And would there also be tractor trailers in and out of house and dairy barn? Will your proposed use harm your neighbors in any way?
No.
Those are all of the questions that I have for Mr. Lee, and then Mr. Finger will be testifying further about the site plan.
Okay, can I interrupt? Mr. Peachy, the last few questions that your attorney asked you about other tractor trailers, are any of those tractor trailers stored on their properties? Either the Landisville greenhouses or the chicken house?
No.
So they're coming in and leaving, similar to what you do on other farms
That's
to
right.
pick up eggs.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you're proposing is a little different, that you want, that isn't tractor trailers coming to your property. You want to continue parking tractor trailers on your property. And you want to build a shed to, at least cover one. I'll call it a shed, for lack of a better word.
We'll have to take turns.
Excuse me?
We'll have to take turns if we want inside.
Well, that's another question I have, which, boards aren't supposed to give leading questions for things, but if it potentially cuts down on our, work, why only shed big enough time for one tractor trailer when you have two?
Because we can park outside. It's just when we wanna work, fix lights or do a change oil. Put it out. But, and backside of the shed will facilitate a tractor without a trailer. So put a whole truck and trailer into one side, and then we'll pull a tractor.
In most cases, it would be, you would want two, and we would would think it'd be one, so my question was a little, different, the standpoint, but it's also, years on this board, people have come in and asked for something, and they go through, get approval with conditions, whatever, and then all of a sudden we see them back again. We don't do this as a, money-making business. You know, doing our civic duty, but we just don't wanna hold hearings when, additional hearings when it can be addressed. But if you're satisfied,
Question is, but not, don't have anything else in mind, other than
well, yeah, but saying that you would come back and say, well, we'd like to either expand that shed or build another shed to cover the second truck. And that's fine, I mean, that's your decision, not ours. We just have to go with what's in front of us. I'm just been on this board long enough that I've seen heat and or even accused at times of creating the problem. Well, you know, you only granted us one shed. Yeah, that's all you asked for, or the predecessor asked for. So, I just thought I'd mention it. We can't amend your ordinance to expand it. And most times, I was saying, is you would come in and ask for a shed big enough for two, and we would think that was too large and go to the one. Just,
this, what I'm asking for will facilitate what we need.
so, and that's a good, the answer is that what you're asking for meets your needs.
Yeah.
And that needs to be made clear that that's, you know, why you're doing this. Mr. Hanson, I heard.
So, there's probably been 4 zoning ordinances since you brought this property. You were given permission to run the trucks and park the trucks on the property many years ago.
Yeah.
You would be bothered at that stage. Putting shed, barn, whatever, for your tractor trailer in is not gonna put you over lot size, lot coverage. I'm not sure why you're here. I mean,
I think the same thing.
if township granted you permission many years ago to park your tractor trailers there, at this point, you're grandfathered in.
I guess to answer that question, they approached the township. They advised us to get an attorney.
When we looked at it, there was no record of any.
I'm gonna say that's probably true.
Yeah.
Cause I can remember in the days, back in the days, one of the zoning officers back in the day, everything, do stuff one way with one person, a totally different way with another person. So I don't have,
So this is an opportunity to make it official.
I can understand that. The other thing I noticed, and this would be a house item with attorney. On page 1 of your application, you asked for a special exception. Second variance you're asking for, I'm not sure what you're asking for, it's because it's 270.2.2. That doesn't exist in the zoning.
Well,
It's the definition section, I believe.
yeah,
Yeah, it's the definition section.
And it should be 270-2.
oh, I'm sorry, I might have missed the dash.
That's
but
what I was wondering, because I'm like,
Mr. Hess is right, I was attempting to reference the definition of a farm,
farm-based
which
business.
also includes that lot size. So it's the exact same issue, 10 acres, but 2 different sections.
You were section 270-2. That you were trying to reference, is that correct?
And Mr. Hanson, the first part of your statement there, I know that from some other cases where, you know, if you want to show that you have a lawful non-conforming use, you know, sometimes it's, you know, the burden's on you to show that it was actually lawfully non-conforming and that you were using it for so long. Sometimes it's easier to just go in and request permission from the zoning hearing board rather than trying to find evidence that something was, you know, to be able to prove that something was in use as long as it was.
I mean, I understand all that. I haven't been on this board now for 19 plus years. I think I would have gone as this is a variance request to allow commercial business on a farm. That would have been the easy way. Because basically, trucking business is a commercial business. I know that because I have a Class A CDL. The government changes things yearly, but, so I would say that, me, that's the way I would have gone, but I can't tell you how to approach it.
I will note, in the alternative, we did include a use variance, just to give the board two options of how this application should be granted. So, we led with the proposal for a farm-based business with a variance to lot size, but in the alternative, we did ask for a use variance.
Me, that would be the way. Because the only thing here is, the shed's not an issue. You're not gonna exceed the lot coverage. The tractor trailers, again, to me, that's a commercial-based business, so I would say that that would be use variances. Because I can't, there's nothing I've heard so far that would convince me that this is a farm-based business. I have no issue with the use variance. It's not like you have tons of tractor trailers in and out of there every day. This isn't a truck lot. This is just two individual trucks.
There was a time when we had to back off the road. We made that circle driveway, so we much safer than it used to be.
But the road's got a lot busier.
Terrible, this one Tuesday, with no sports.
Oh.
Yeah, the road is terrible, and traffic studies will tell you. Sorry, Mr. Chairman,
That's fine. I'm looking at you. Anything else you want to add? I think,
I have, discussed with our engineer, Mr. Keener.
okay,
I can try to, I think the board got its arms fully around this application. I'll try to make it, good, so we can at least go through the site plan real quick if
that's fine. Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay, wonderful. Mr. Keener, would you please state your name for the record,
David Keener,
and what is your occupation?
civil project engineer,
How long have you been an engineer?
licensed for 24 years.
And are you working with Mr. and Mrs. Peachy on the site plan for the property?
Yes.
Please turn with me to what I've marked as applicant. Is this the existing conditions plan that you prepared for the property?
Yes.
And regarding the data that you use for this plan, GIS and other public.
Correct.
So this is not the result of a field survey?
Right.
So in that respect, is it correct that some of the, for example, the existing impervious may not be accurate?
Right.
Okay. But certainly in your proposed conditions plan at applicant 4, we'll be able to show what's existing.
Yes.
Going going back to applicant 3, the existing plan, would you agree that the property is non-conforming as to lot size?
Yes.
Is that because there is a 10-acre minimum for a farm in the ag district?
Yes.
Property is about 7.4 acres.
Yes.
Is the property also non-conforming as to the front yard setback?
Yes.
Is a 25-foot setback required for the front yard?
Yes.
And the home is closer to the right of way than 25.
Approximately 10 feet.
Right, let's move on to the applicant's exhibit 4. This is the proposed conditions plan that you generated.
Yes.
And does this show the 4,800 square foot shed that Mr. Peachy would like to construct?
Yes.
Would Mr. Peachy also be adding additional gravel for access to the shed as well as a turning radius for the truck?
Yes.
And so would the total impervious on the property be 12.8%?
Yes.
Great. In your opinion, as an engineer, would trucks be able to turn around the mulch bin, without any issues?
Yes.
Would there be any conflicts with the placement of the building and the ability to navigate the site? If Mr. Peachy were going just for the shed building, would he need a zoning application to the zoning board?
No.
And I guess to put a finer point on the question, there's no issues with setbacks or impervious coverage for the shed?
No.
So if it was simply used for personal storage or agricultural storage, you would need a building.
That's stormwater plan.
All right. So turn with me next what I've marked as applicant exhibit 6. These are just some excerpts from the zoning ordinance related to the agricultural zoning district and the farm-based business. Have you reviewed the zoning ordinance as it relates to Mr. Peachy's project?
Yes.
And would you agree that a farm-based business is by right in the agricultural district? However, does a farm require a 10-acre? And Mr. Peachy's property is a non-conforming lot in that respect.
Yes.
Please turn with me to page 5, applicant's exhibit 6. I'm going to read the definition of a farm-based business. Business activities and or services that are located on a farm and are accessory to the principal farm use. Do you agree that Mr. Peachy's proposed egg transportation business would fit that definition?
Yes.
Okay. And is that because it would be a business activity that is accessory to?
Yes.
Next on the page are the performance criteria for a farm-based business. First one is the applicant must provide evidence that the proposed use is important to agricultural operations. With transportation of eggs from farmers to a processor or market be important to agriculture?
Yes, as stated earlier, most farmers don't have tractor and trailers to transport their own eggs.
So they would rely on businesses like Mr. for their ability to.
Yes.
Next, the ordinance sets forth some examples. And it says, these are some examples of farm-based businesses suitably sized, which include but are not limited to, and then there are a number of listed. We did already touch on these, some examples. An appropriate farm-based business could be the sale or repair of ag equipment, butcher shop, processing of agricultural products. In your opinion, would the egg transportation use be similar to these types of listed uses?
Yes.
And when you look at this list of the examples of farm-based businesses, would you agree that many of these uses do not involve the products that are actually grown on the farm?
Yes.
So, for example, the sale or repair of ag equipment doesn't actually have anything to do with land where it's located.
Correct.
However, it is a. Next, paragraph 3, would the farm-based business be under 2 acres? And in fact, if we look at the driveway area, turnaround area, and shed for the truck, could it be less than 1 acre?
Yes.
And is the area being proposed the minimum area to conduct the business?
Yes.
Next, the ordinance calls for us to look at the design criteria for the enterprise zone. Have you reviewed that criteria, Mr.
Yes.
Keener? And does the proposed truck egg transportation use meet all of the dimensional criteria of the enterprise zone?
Yes.
Next, will the overall lot coverage be less than 40%? Is the farm-based business more than 300 feet away from any residentially zoned property?
Yes.
Would any of the trucks be seen through mud or manure on the property?
No.
And does the driveway and parking area give sufficient room for the trucks to navigate the site?
Yes.
Okay, moving to paragraph 4D, for Mr. Peachy's testimony that there would be no outdoor storage associated with the egg transportation business.
Yes.
And will the trucks be substantially screened from the right-of-way by the buildings and also the,
Yes.
and there would be no signs for the egg transportation use?
No.
Finally, I'd like to review the criteria for a variance related to lot size. Would you agree that the property has unique physical circumstances that create an unnecessary?
Yes.
And it would one of those circumstances be non-conforming undersized lot?
Yes.
And in fact, it's been this very size since at least 1938.
Yes.
Would you further agree that the property has an irregular triangular shape?
Yes.
And because of these unique circumstances, can the property be developed in strict conformity with the ordinance?
No.
And again, it's one of the principal reasons the size of the lot.
Correct.
Is the variance needed to enable the reasonable use of the property?
Yes.
Because it's too small to be a self-sustaining agricultural operation?
Yes.
Was the unnecessary hardship created by the applicant?
No.
And Mr. Peachy has not made this lot smaller, correct?
Correct.
And when he purchased it, it was the same size. Will the variance alter the essential character of the neighborhood?
No.
Is allowing the 2 egg transportation trucks to park on the property similar to and in keeping with nearby operations?
Yes.
And we heard testimony that there would be tractor-trailer traffic associated with other agricultural operations nearby.
Yes.
Will the proposed use harm or adversely impact the neighbors in any appreciable way?
No.
And is the variance requested the minimum that would afford relief?
Yes.
For very similar reasons to what Mr. Keener just testified related to the dimensional variance of the lot size, would also support a use variance in our opinion. So those are all of the questions that I have.
Questions, gentlemen?
Yes. Mr. Keener. And hoping that it does well, is there a possibility you may add a 3rd tractor trailer to your outfit, or just gonna stay at 2? Might not keep one there as a spare, or...
I don't have any. I can say this, my son just bought a property in, probably gonna keep the truck over in that area part-time, maybe it might. It might not even be 2 trucks full-time at this.
Thank you.
Anything else? Any other questions, gentlemen?
The 3rd truck, I have an old antique 1953 Kenworth sitting there.
Has that,
And that's gonna go under the overhang of the shed if I ever get the shed.
I was talking about in the,
No, not in our.
You're not using that to haul egg, though.
Boy.
Additional questions? Jason, questions?
I have none.
Beth?
No.
Anyone else have questions and or, on Zoom? Seeing none?
I
No.
I do have a question for the township.
Okay.
They, in some of our discussions, would you say a use variance is the way to go?
Yes.
But to me,
I can't tell them how to proceed.
yeah, I was gonna ask that, but that's not, yes.
Anything else? Okay, with that, then we will conclude testimony in case number 2490. We will take make part of the record, applicant's exhibits, the entire packet, which has individual exhibits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I do not see any reference to prior cases, so there's no administrative notice. So gentlemen, at this time, I will listen to a motion in case 2490 if there is one.
Mr. Chairman, case number 2490, the request of John and Anita Peachy for property located at 924 Landisville Road, Manheim, PA 17545. Make a motion to deny the request for a farm-based business, special exception for a farm-based business, a variance, section 270-3.2E1A and section 270-2.2 definitions as inappropriate to what they actually.
Okay,
And, let me, before I continue, let me ask Jason a question here.
go.
Which section would the use variance pertain to?
I guess it would be the, whatever section is for agricultural, the agricultural zones that says the use is permitted in an agricultural zone, which I,
270-3.2 E3.
So I say that again?
270-3.2 E3.
Continuing with my motion, in lieu of the request that motion grant them a use variance to section 270-3.2B3 to allow them to park 2 tractor trailers on a lot used for first leg.
Two 270-9.
However,
That's what she has as the alternative use variance.
and yeah, that's just, I mean, that's the general
Okay.
criteria for
Got it.
variances.
Thank you.
Okay. Mark, your motion is to deny the
their
request.
special exception and their 2 variance requests lieu of that, grant them a use variance to section 270-3.2B.
Okay. So we have a motion in case number 2490 by Mr. Hanson for property at 924 Landisville Road, Manheim, PA 17545, to deny the request for the special exception variances as stipulated in the written and oral testimony. In the alternative, to grant a use variance, section 270-3.2B3, to allow applicant to park two tractor trailers on the lot that are used for commercial egg hauling.
Because he doesn't, the shed he can put up.
Yeah.
My understanding is correct.
I mean, he'll have to go through that.
But I mean, other, he doesn't
Yeah,
require.
variance, right?
May have read the word, farm-based businesses are by right, not special exception. So it was just that you would be denying just the two variances to the
Okay. And that's what we'll do.
Okay, okay, so,
And we'll
deny,
grant you in lieu of the variance
okay. So, before I ask for a second, Mr. Hanson is amending his motion to deny the request, case number 2490, for two variances as stipulated in the written and oral testimony. And in lieu of the request to grant a use variance to section 270-3.2B3, which would allow the parking of two tractor trailers for commercial egg hauling. Conditions,
standard conditions.
standard, nothing else.
And at no time can he exceed tractor trailer used in the commercial and the business. That way that antique doesn't count as one.
Okay. To allow to park on the lot used for commercial egg hauling, those conditions, one, are standard conditions we apply. Two, at no time, may there be more than 3 tractor trailers that are used for the commercial egg hauling. Maybe a 3A. The antique tractor trailer, which is not presently used for commercial egg hauling, is not to be included in the 3 tractor trailers.
Correct.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Luce. No, I'm not gonna say it either. Again. Remember, I got a hole in my head, I can't do that. Any additional discussion, gentlemen?
Yeah, this was,
Mr. Hanson?
Case where the applicant has been doing this for years, and I'm pretty sure that he was granted permission by the township. Again, commercial trucking, no way you can, not convince me, picking up eggs and taking distributors is not commercial trucking. Regulated by the state, regulated by the federal government, the commercial business. I have no issue parking the tractor trailer. You've been doing it for years. They're parked far enough back, they're not an eyesore. So I'll vote for the alternative, which variance request. Said, because it's fine, there's no issue here.
I would agree with you, with the argument for commercial versus farm base. I also agree with the concept that today, driving by there, you really have to look to see those track trailers parked back there. Now, in the past, I wouldn't have said that because they were parked out closer to the road. Right, and, but, you know, he has already addressed part of that problem, and the other part, is putting that loop driveway in, because Landisville Road isn't what it was 40, 50 years ago. And part of that is the nook that's there bringing in, but prior to the nook, you had, Armstrong in there. Most of those vehicles did not come down by your property, but it still created a traffic issue at that intersection between Landisville Road and, yeah. So, any other discussion, gentlemen? Seeing none, Mr. Hanson?
In favor.
In favor.
In favor.
The other one.
Mr. Bingham?
In favor.
And I will also vote in favor. You've been granted a use variance for your vehicle. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Beth,
Maybe, but
next month,
I'm happy to.
any other business or, yeah, you're getting on my you-know-what list.
And then like a shredding service.
Sure.
Application.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Not me. Shred your packet.
Looks like July.
No, it's June and July.
Get in an
July.
Oh, no.
July is at my waist.
I can only go for 2 weeks straight.
Hey, I have a hole in my head, I forget things.
No, we
Meetings
didn't
are-
adjourn yet. We need to make sure everybody's available. Correct?
Yeah, I think.
That,
Yeah.
16.